All right. Thank you again, Anissa. That was really heart-touching. I hope you do something for the talent show next week. I want to hear more. Good morning. Thank you for coming, for taking the time this morning. It really moves me that people will get up in the morning and pack up all their kids and all the shoes and the jackets and things and make the effort, to come together on Sundays. And I know that part of it is to hear a message, part of it is seeking God, and part of it is community. And all of it is very valuable. Today I want to talk about friends of faith. A lot of the time we focus very specifically on our personal relationship with God and God's truth and God's love. And it's a very kind of the vertical connection, And another thing we often focus on a lot is our family relationships. We're the Colorado Family Church, and so we talk a lot about our relationships with parents and children, and between husband and wife, and with our siblings. And something that we maybe don't spend as much time on, but is still worth spending a good amount of time on, is our friends of faith. And I personally have felt it's been hard the last few years, hasn't it? During COVID, we couldn't see each other. We spent months alone in our houses. Maybe on Facebook we'd talk to friends or call on the phone. But we didn't have that interpersonal time. And then even after COVID, and it was socially acceptable to get together with friends again, I found it very hard to do so. It just felt like there was hard to get back into that kind of social enjoyment. I think before COVID, I know Pastor Mike and I were always doing barbecues and getting families together. Or we do birthday lunches for the ladies, or go to karaoke together. I know Mike would go to movies with the guys sometimes. And it seemed like after COVID, it was just hard to do that. It kind of felt stressful to add in something else that wasn't already on the schedule or something. I don't know if that's what your experience has been. That was kind of my experience for the last 3 years or so. And it wasn't that we didn't do fun things sometimes or didn't get together, but it didn't feel as natural or as easy. Now those things to you might sound like very kind of superficial events, movies, barbecues, karaoke. I really love karaoke. And they do have the potential to be. They could just be get-togethers. But I found that when you get together with friends of faith, really beautiful things can happen at any time. I really feel like when two or more are gathered, it doesn't even have to be for a spiritual purpose. God can come and do magic in those moments. I feel like even so, Mike and I we live a very social life. We're often having meetings. Mike is on conference calls all the time. For being introverts, we meet a lot of people. We're with people a lot. But even so, many times it's because it's something that we need to do, or it checks a box, or it's part of, in order to get to step C, we have to do step B, and we have to meet with these people, But this past weekend, I had at least 3 opportunities to get together with other families and friends, and we had Daedalus' birthday party, and it was this just multitude of events of being together with friends of faith that didn't have an outcome we were looking for or something specific we were trying to do. It was just being with our friends of faith. And I found that instead of it feeling overwhelming, I actually felt excited. And I found that after these events, I felt uplifted, and I had such wonderful conversations with these families and with these friends that it really reminded me that a friend of faith is something that is a treasure. And with our focus on God and with our family, sometimes it can feel a little bit on the peripheral or not as important. But there's something very special that a friend of faith can add to our life that you can't get, actually, even from God, who is an invisible being, and even from our own family. So I want to talk about the different types of friends, first of all, to help define what is a friend of faith. First off, false friends, or superficial friends. I probably don't need to spend much time on this one. I think we probably all could list off some qualities of false friends. And yet, sometimes we find ourselves stuck to these people anyway. So it's good to talk about it so we can remind ourselves who maybe we need to spend less time with. False friends are friends that spend time with us to gain something. They want to take from your energy, or they want to seek validation for who they are and the things that they do. A lot of times, false friends spend time with us to do something that they know that they kind of shouldn't do, but if I have somebody else to do it with me, then I don't feel as bad about it, because if they think it's okay, then it must not be that bad. It justifies some action or an attitude or a conversation that maybe you wouldn't want to do by yourself. Also, when you're going through a difficulty, a false friend will want to escape from you. Or they'll just want to help you escape from it. Oh, you had an argument with your husband? Girl, he doesn't deserve you. Why don't you come out with me? We'll go sing karaoke. He's not worth your time. Or when you're really hurting inside, they don't know what to do with that uncomfortable emotion, and they'll be too busy whenever you call them up. They'll disappear for a while, and then when you're in a better mood, they'll be back. So perhaps some of you can think of some people like that. If there's somebody in your life like that right now, it might be good to reevaluate what percentage of your life you're spending with them. But let's move on. Friends and acquaintances. So I don't know about you, but I tend to have a lot of these. When I meet somebody and I like them a little bit, I automatically consider them my friend. Just the type of, I tend to see the best in people, and I have like, I don't know how many Facebook friends I have, 1,500 or so, and they're all my friends. These are the people that we know and that we like. So, not a bad thing. But we tend to use this term loosely, don't we? Oh, they're my friend. Oh, my friend from work. My friend from 3rd grade. My friend of a friend who's my friend. But do we really know these people, and do they really know us? Right? These are people that we usually see the best side of because we see them on Facebook, or we meet them once a month or something. And of course, with those people, we're usually seeing their best side, and we're usually showing them our best side also. So they're easy to like. So friends and acquaintances aren't bad, and making connections is good. And many of these people are the opportunity to become true friends with. But it's good for us to recognize that there is a difference, and that these people may not be true friends yet. True friends. True friends are special. These are the ones who you can't show them your best side forever, right? Eventually, they see all the sides. And eventually, you see all of their sides. And yet, you still manage to like each other. These are the friends who are friends across space and time. You don't necessarily have to live next to each other or even see each other every year to be true friends. So it's a difference. A friendship of convenience is very different from a true friendship. I have a friend who I became friends with in 3rd grade back in Missouri, and we are still friends today. Every time I go home to visit my parents, we get together. And our lives have been very different. I have 4 children. She isn't married. But she's so kind and considerate of the fact that I have small children being very noisy and running around. At Christmas, she always gets presents for all of my kids, even though I just get her the same thing every year for Christmas. And she's been my friend, even though I disappeared off the face of the earth for 4 years doing mission program. She was ready to welcome me back afterwards. So I feel like this is a true friend of mine. I really appreciate that kind of loyalness. These are people who really make life better because they're in your life. And they're not necessarily godly people or people who share your faith. And I actually have many good friends who do believe in God or do share my faith background, but I still can't really classify them as a friend of faith. There's a really unique difference, and so I want to move on to what I feel like are those gold nuggets, these treasures in our life, our friends of faith. Our true friends of faith are really special people. These are the people who not only know all of our sides and have seen us at our best and at our worst. So true friends are really important. I'm not devaluing true friends. But these are also people who know our purpose, who know what our heart's desire is, who believe in us as God's children and who believe in our original nature and encourage us in that direction. So that means that even if I'm complaining because my husband is frustrating me, they will encourage me to remember why I married my husband and to see his good sides, because they believe in our purpose as a couple. That's very different from somebody who just sympathizes with you and agrees with you all the time. This is something that Jesus taught us about. He showed what it was to be a true friend, and then his disciples became like number one examples and preachers of brotherhood and friendship. This is a quote from Jesus. "I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you should also love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." This reminds me of the song that we just sang, right? That was, fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. right? So this is friendship not just because I like you, or our characters mesh, or we have the same interests, but in God's love. I see how much God loves you, and I want to share God's love with you. There's a difference in that kind of a relationship. This is also for Jesus' words. My command is this: love each other as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit, fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you. This is my command: love each other. So, true friendship, a friend of faith, also is a friend for a purpose, right? To bear a fruit, not just for the good feelings that I get when I'm with you, but because I see the greatness in you. I see what good will come from you, and I'm going to encourage you on that path. And I know that you believe in that for me too. And so that way, even when I'm struggling sometimes, or I don't see how good things are going to come out of my life, I have somebody who believes it and will encourage me. And even when you're down and you don't see the way forward, I believe that God is going to bear fruit in your life. And so I'm going to keep walking with you. I'm going to take you by the hand. And we're going to keep going forward because God is working in our life. A friend of faith has that confidence. And then, even after Jesus passed, and though at that time his disciples were scared and they ran away, they were transformed with Jesus' return, and they became the greatest preachers of the word. And this is from 1 Peter. And they really took this word of loving one another and of true brotherhood into the world. I would say Christianity is based on their demonstration of love to each other and like commitment to it. Above all, keep loving one another earnestly, since love covers a multitude of sins. Show hospitality to one another without grumbling. As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. Now, I really appreciate my friends of faith who overlook my shortcomings. Love covers a multitude of sins. I was talking with Chelsea the other day, and she was like, I really get comfort from your messy house. And I was like, thank you. I just have to trust that people who really know me will believe that there's enough good in me that they can overlook my messy house. But the people who really love me can overlook that. Yeah. Love covers a multitude of sins. Then also, as each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. So this alludes to the fact that each one of us resembles God in some unique and special way that nobody else can. We all have a gift or a talent that maybe our friend in faith isn't as strong in. So I think sometimes we tend to think, I got this. I'm a faithful person. I got my relationship with God, and I got my family, and that's all I need. But actually, we're very limited if we just rely on ourselves, because we can only express God fully to a certain amount. We really need each other and all of our different talents to support each other. Some people are very, very good at listening. Right? When you talk to them, you just feel, they understand my heart. Even the words I didn't say, they can read between the lines. And I feel so at home with this person. And then some people are really people of action. they get an inspiration and they just do it. And when we're around those people, we're inspired to do more. And then some people they're really like peacemakers. They're really good at resolving conflict. Or maybe I'm frustrated with somebody, but when I share it with this friend, they help me to understand that maybe there's a perspective I'm missing. Maybe there's a way I can grow my heart. So the more friends we have, friends of faith, then the more rich our lives become. Because we can all kind of fill in our weak spots. So what a treasure are our friends in faith, who uplift us, who give us encouragement, and who remind us of our original nature. So one thing that's unique about our friends is also that, unlike our family, we get to choose them, right? We're kind of stuck with our family, and our family is a blessing. But somebody thought that was funny. But the people that we choose to spend time with and the people that we surround ourselves with actually make a huge impact on our experience of life and our perspective of life. So it might be something to consider if I'm feeling kind of negative or down, or maybe I'm feeling judgmental. For one thing, it might just be because you're by yourself, or it might be that maybe the friends that you're spending time with are not your true friends. But the good thing is we can choose those people. Sometimes we go through life and we just kind of end up being around certain people a lot because of the people we went to school with, or the people in our neighborhood, or the people that we work with. And we don't even really give much thought to what sort of people they really are, or what their values are, or how they affect us. So let's make good choices. If we're feeling a lacking in who we're with, we also have the power to seek out those with the qualities that we're looking for. And maybe you feel, I don't know if I have much to offer. But I really love this quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He said, anyone can be great because anyone can serve. So you might feel like, well, I'm not, I'm just a newbie to this life of faith thing. I don't really have that much to offer, or I've made mistakes, and so maybe I don't have the best perspective. But we can all begin by serving one another. We all have a gift, right? Peter is saying we all have a gift. God's gifts are varied and wide. And we have something inside of us that we can offer to others. So maybe we need to reflect on it. Maybe we need to practice it a little bit more. But this would be a great week for each of us to think of somebody in our life that we could reach out to, or that we could serve in a simple way. Maybe it's helping somebody to plant their spring flowers because they have a bad back and it's hard. Maybe it's calling or texting just to check in on somebody that you haven't heard of for a while, and maybe they might be going through a hard time. And maybe they are, maybe they aren't. And then this is where we get stuck, right? We're like, oh, I don't know if I should or I shouldn't, or maybe I'll hurt their feelings if I reach out to them and they're uncomfortable. I think many times we get stuck just because we don't know what to say or what to do. So perhaps it can begin by just being vulnerable ourselves. You're like, hey, man, I had a rough week last week because of this or that, and I'm really trying to find a more positive perspective, or I'm really trying to find a way to move forward past this setback. I've found so many times that if somebody shares with me their heart, then I feel automatically ready to share my heart back. But so many times we don't want to look weird, or we don't want to overshare. And so we just kind of put our game face on and we just kind of move forward doing the things that we always do. So what does it look like for you? What is one way we can serve? I know that this quote gets used a lot, that anybody can be great because anyone can serve. A lot of that gets used for service projects, right? And service is great. But also, sometimes serving somebody else means to be vulnerable with them, or to ask them, how are you really doing? Haven't seen you for a couple weeks, and I miss you. This is a quote from our true father, Reverend Moon. When you need a friend, you want a friend who can shed tears. Yet you would not want such an indecent man who does nothing but weep all day. But we want a friend who can shed tears, while on the other hand has a lot of laughter as well. It is not good to make a wry face at all times. Even in a deep grief-stricken situation, you should be able to find an overflowing joy. But this is what we want, isn't it? Somebody who we can be our real self with. And when we're joyful, that they can be joyful with us. And when we're grief-stricken, that they can experience that with us. And yet at the same time, not get sucked into it, right? And then disappear in this dark spiral. We need a friend of faith who can remind us of God's love and yet travel through the valley of death with us. I didn't think to grab this quote, but there's a quote from Reverend Moon's autobiography of when he was a child and how at the time it was Japanese occupation, and so many times there were political kind of rebellions, and the people leading these would be traveling around the country and living as homeless people to avoid getting captured and tortured and things like that. And sometimes they would come and stay in his family's farm silo, and he would go and bring food to them. And he expressed, all I really wanted to do is to be their friend. And not just a friend because they're here, but I want somebody with whom I can share my deepest heart. And that, every time I read that, it just touches me, because that's what I want. I want somebody with whom I can share my deepest heart. So, yes, first and foremost, we need God, right? We need a relationship with God. It's really hard to develop true friendships without an understanding of who we are and what our purpose is and what direction we're going. So we most certainly need to develop a personal relationship with God. We need God's love and truth. And at the same time, we shouldn't base our faith on other people or expect others to give us answers about our purpose. We shouldn't expect others to give us proof to believe in God. We shouldn't expect others to save us from our problems, right? This is the other trap. Some people focus so much on friendships that this becomes their focus. I need my friend to save me. I need my friend to help me out of this. I believe so much in my friend, but then if my friend falters, then I'm crushed, right? We don't want that. That is not the role of our brothers and sisters. That is not the role of our true friends. But as we grow in our relationship with God and as we walk in our purpose, having friends of faith who will walk beside us, who strive beside us and are also walking towards their purpose, is a treasure. And it's something also that's really tangible, that brings like a richness and a fullness to our life. Again, friendship can't replace God. It also can't replace our family. I think it's, when we're going through a hard time in our family, I'm really struggling with what to do with my children, I'm really struggling with my husband, our friends No matter how much we love them, no matter how much they try to help, my heart won't be at peace, right? So we need God, and we need to really build beautiful families. But having true friends who will encourage us through those difficulties, who will walk through us, and we can be there for when they go through those difficulties, really makes the whole journey much more pleasant. So that is what I wanted to share with you today. Please don't neglect your friends. If it's been a few years and it's felt a little tough to connect in heart to others, don't wait for them to connect to you. Let's reach out. Maybe we need to be vulnerable first. Maybe we just need to do something that's caring and loving first. But I was reminded this week how much more beautiful, like how colorful life is when we have our true friends of faith. So please join me in prayer. Heavenly Parent, thank you for this beautiful morning. Thank you for all of these beautiful children of yours who gathered together here, our real brothers and sisters. Heavenly Parent, we're all in a different part of our journey, and some of us are a little further down the road, and some of us are a little behind. Some of us are on a side quest right now, and that's okay, Heavenly Parent. We are just grateful for each person here today, and pray that we can, as we gather on Sundays, that we can not only seek you and seek your heart, but we can also be mindful of those around us and to be aware of the journeys that our brothers and sisters are on, and we can find ways to encourage them and to serve them and to be an expression of your love to those around us. Heavenly Parent, thank you so much for giving us the example of Jesus, who, before going to his fate, he gathered all of his close friends and he washed their feet and he served them and he loved on them. And thank you for giving us the example of our true parents who put into words what it really means to long not only for you, but to long for real, substantial relationships on this earth, Heavenly Parent, because your kingdom of heaven shouldn't only be a heaven in space or in the afterlife, but you want to see glimpses of heaven here on earth, and those happen not because of a beautiful house that we build or a beautiful garden that we make, but heaven comes in our relationships. So I pray that we can manifest your true love in our relationships and bring a little bit of heaven to earth this week. And I offer this prayer in my name, Michael and Adonia Hentrick, a Blessed Angel family. Amen and adieu. Thank you.